Street Talk! Yeah!
Welcome to Street Talk. I am your host, Jason, and this is for Friday, January the 2nd. Did you guys survive Stunt Day? Hopefully at least kept a few wins intact. Give you something to build on in the coming days. So it's early in the month, obviously, and figured why not take a look at some of these wild, unpredictable bowl games. Maybe there's a hidden green. We'll find out. Kansas State Wildcats versus the UCLA Bruins. Looking at the line, Kansas a minus 1 point favorite, basically down to a toss-up, but we've come to expect that playing Street for the Cash for so long. But looking at the records, they both come in at 9-3. One in the Big 12, Kansas State. One in the Pac-12, UCLA. Different conferences, still Power 5. Looks to be a really good matchup between these two teams. If we take a look at some of the defensive statistics, we're going to find Kansas State actually has a little bit of an edge here. Rushing yards allowed per game. UCLA 54th in the nation, 158 yards per game. Kansas State 23rd in the nation, 124 yards per game. Passing, UCLA 90th in the nation, 243 yards a game. Kansas State 81st in the nation, 237 yards a game. Points allowed, UCLA allowing 27.5 points a game. Kansas State only 21.8. So really, Kansas State Wildcat defense wins all three of the really major defensive statistical categories. And if we're looking at offense, we find something just about similar. Rushing, UCLA is 39th in the nation, 199 yards a game. This is the one area where Kansas State is a little bit weaker than UCLA. They are 94th in the nation at only 143 yards a game. But passing-wise, Kansas State 20th in the nation, 283 yards a game, and UCLA 30th in the nation at 269 yards a game. Kansas State averaging 35.8 points a game, UCLA 32.9 points a game. So we're really getting a sort of the arrows all pointing toward a Wildcat victory. If we take a look at the first half prop, in addition to the full game prop, which player will have more total offensive yards in the first half? Jake Waters, quarterback for Kansas State, versus Brett Hundley, quarterback for UCLA. Now, sheep are heavily on Hundley. Makes sense. He's a bit more recognizable name. He's got the sort of pro prospect tied to him, so a little bit more of a flash as far as the sort of steady senior quarterback in Jake Waters. But statistically, it's actually slightly edged toward Jake Waters. Hundley, 3,019 yards through the air. Now, there was one game where he didn't really play a lot, but just stick with me. 3,019 yards through the air, and that came on 259 completions. Meanwhile, Waters, 3,163 yards through the air on only 231 completions. So he has 150 more yards on roughly 30 less completions. So when he gets the ball out to his stud wide receiver Tyler Lockett, and to a little bit lesser extent Curry Sexton, those Wildcat receivers are really making some plays in the passing game. And as I said, UCLA defense ranked 90th in the nation, sort of pointing toward the Wildcat wide receivers having a big game. Running the ball, Hundley a little bit more effective, just a little bit. He's rushed for 148 attempts, 548 yards, 3.7 yards per attempt. Now, Hundley has gone on record and admitted that he ran less this year because he was trying to save himself for the NFL. He didn't want to run out here and get hurt, blow his chance at a possible big contract. That's backed up by the numbers. Last year he rushed for 4.7 yards per attempt, and he had over 200 yards more rushing. So hasn't run the ball as much. When he has, sometimes he's had some big games. He's actually rushed for over 100 yards a couple times this year. Waters, while he doesn't have quite the numbers Hundley has, he has on 139 attempts, 471 yards, 3.4 attempts, and not quite as far as yards per attempt, but pretty equitable. And he seems to, every time he gets tackled, he's always falling forward for a couple of yards. And it's not like he's been saving himself for the NFL. Who knows if he'll even make the NFL at this point. I think it's close enough, even slightly advantage in Jake Waters for the first half prop. I think he can take advantage of this, albeit slightly soft UCLA defense. And not to mention, the leading rusher for the Wildcats is Charles Johnson. 521 yards total this year. The leading rusher for UCLA is Paul Perkins, almost a 1,400-yard back. So when UCLA is running the ball, they're really sort of concentrating on Perkins. For Kansas State, it's pretty much Waters and Johnson are pretty equitable. So I like Jake Waters in the first prop. I think it's a really great statistical play for monthly players. And like I said, it's only the second of the month. We got plenty of time to recover. As far as the second half prop goes, I've always said this. I'm not going to be able to break down a second half prop without having the first half information. I do sort of lean toward 2 or 3 different players. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned the prop. How many different players will score an offensive touchdown? 2 or 3 versus any other number. But really, we're going to want to see what is the over-under after the first half is completed for the second half, sort of get a feel for the flow of the game, and that's when we'll make our selection. Please don't lock into that selection before the first half has been completed, just to give yourself a little bit more information to make a better selection. So I'm going to go with Kansas State for the full game prop, and I'm going with Jake Waters for the first half prop. I think it could be a good game, and who knows what we're going to get with this UCLA team? Are we going to get the team that really got blown out by Stanford 31-10? Are we going to get the team that went to Arizona State and won 62-27, really in an annihilation? Or are we going to get this team that took 2 overtimes to beat a 2-win Colorado team? They've really been up and down, as far as the whole year's gone. Kansas State, while they've had an identical record, seem like they play a little bit more of a consistent ball under Coach Bill Snyder. And there are rumors linking Jim Mora, the coach for UCLA, to the NFL again. The Jets contacted him. Is his focus going to be completely on this ball game, or does he have one eye looking off at the NFL green pastures again? Maybe that plays just enough for Kansas State to pull this out for the green. So, if you're going full game, Kansas State. If you're going first half, Jake Waters. Keep an eye on the second half prop. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you next time on Street Talk.